Chaos is an underrated strategy in chess, but if you know how to use it, you can get some pretty big wins. And in this video, I'll be showing you 2 games where I used Chaos to beat players rated 300 and 500 points higher than me. Let's get right into it. So this game was the first game of the tournament, and my opponent, as you can see, was rated 1800. And at this time, I think I was rated 1400. I may have been rated 1350. I'm not sure. But I was one of the lowest rated people in my group. I played 4 opponents that tournament, and all of my opponents were rated at least 200 points higher than me, or maybe 100. Like I said, I can't remember if I was 1350 at this time or 1400. But anyway, the time control was 20 minutes with 10-second increment. So let's get right into the game. Started with e4, and then we had c5. And right here I play c3, the Alpine Sicilians. This is what I've been playing. I didn't want to get into any knight f3 complications, which I know how to play, but I didn't think I would know how to play it as well as my opponent did. So she played the best move, and then after e5, knight to d5, knight f3, knight c6, and now d4. So she takes, I take back, d6, and bishop d3. So right here I actually forgot what the move was. I couldn't remember. It's actually bishop to c4, but oh well, I guess I should have prepared my theory better. Which is actually a theme throughout all of the games that were played. So she takes, and I take back with the knight, and my opponent plays e6. A slightly inaccurate move. The engine wants g6 to fink out of the bishop, but that's not really that big of a deal. And it says right here that I should take this knight, because when I do, there's doubled pawns there. Instead, I make an inaccurate move, h4, and it's pretty obvious that I'm going to attack on the king side. But the problem with this move is that now, first of all, I was never castling queenside, but now when I castle kingside, this pawn becomes extremely weak. And in some French positions, yeah, it's okay to play king f1, but the position is a lot more open, so I'm very vulnerable here. She doesn't capitalize on it immediately. She instead just tries to get pressure here. The trap I had, if you took this pawn, was, I can't exactly remember. Oh yeah, it was queen to a4. Yeah, so you can't take this pawn because of queen to a4, and then I get the fork here. This was played quite a while ago, so I can't exactly remember everything that was going on. But yeah, that was a trap there. Anyway, queen c7, and now I take. Takes back. This is just an isolated pawn, which I also have an isolated pawn. So this is very balanced. And now I just castle. So bishop d6. And right here I make a huge inaccuracy with the move g3. Now I was afraid of a piece coming to f4, so I decided to block it out, and I thought I would just be able to defend against the sacrifice on g2. I thought right here, takes, and then I thought the best she could do is grab all the pawns, but I was like, oh, there's not really enough attack, enough pieces. It would just be a queen. Like, if we go down to this line, takes, I didn't think that there would be enough pieces around to attack. So I thought this would be completely fine, and then we could get a draw. But she didn't do that. Instead, she just castled. And now I completely blunder with knight to d2, because that prevents a piece from going to the f4 squares, which allows her to play bishop takes g3, which I did see, and I thought at this point I was going to go for complication. So it was around this point where I was thinking, alright, I may be getting outplayed. Well, I thought I was getting outplayed back there, but I thought now might be the time to use a lot of chaos, because I can see there's no knight in f6. Maybe I'll start to get an attack. I already pushed my h-pawn. And then I was also thinking of ideas like king to g2 and getting the rook on the h-file. So I saw this move, I knew she would play it, and I knew it was probably the best move. But right here, I don't take, because if I take, I lose a bishop. So instead, I play the best move, which is knight to f3, not allowing any takes. She goes back, and now I'm starting to think, can I Greek gift here? And the answer is no, I can't. Because if she takes, if we go down to this line, knight to f3. Knight to f3. What? Knight to f6. Defends mate, attacks the queen. So I cannot do that. Instead, I play knight to g5. Has a very clear threat of taking this pawn, and she defends it with knight to f6. And now, not only is the pawn defended, so is h5. So this is looking very bad for me. So I start to try to be as aggressive as possible with h5, and at this point I'm kind of giving up hope on playing the best move, and instead just trying to use time, which is a big part of chaos, and using being as annoyingly aggressive as possible. h6 just kicks the knight away, and now knight to f3 just moves back. Probably should have. The engine thinks knight to e4 is better, but I didn't want to trade because chaos. So she took the pawn, and now I sacrifice. Oh wait, no, I don't sacrifice yet. I play king to h1 because I'm going to get the rook on the g file because of a sacrifice that I have prepared. Unfortunately, this basically walks straight into bishop e7, and now the long diagonal is, the diagonals in general are just very strong, so I have to be very careful here. Just kidding, I'm not careful at all. I play bishop takes h6. And now there are ideas like c5, which are getting ready to attack the knight there. So that would be the best move. Of course, you can take, but after you take rook g1 check, and there are a lot of complications, which can be hard for a human, which is what we're trying to go for, complications. Because, like I said, my opponent is rated much higher than me. So there's not really a good chance I can win on just playing very solidly, because my opponent will play better than me because she's higher rated. So I have to go into these complications, which I don't actually have to, but it is much higher. There's a much higher chance of winning. So she misses it with e5. And this will allow me to play rook to g1. Allows me to take this, actually it's just rook to g1. It allows my attack to get too strong, as now this diagonal is blocked by this pawn. So, instead, this is probably where I should not have gone for chaos. I should have played the best move, rook g1, but at this point we were down to both 5 minutes each, so I played bishop takes g7, trying to get rid of all of the pawns around the king and allow me to take this g file and move the knight. So she took with the knight, which is not the best move, and now knight to g5. The point of this move was to move the knight out of the way so that I can play f3 after c5 and f3, because it's defended because these diagonals are just really strong. Instead, queen to e7 attacks the knight, and now queen to g4. As we can see, was actually one of the points of this move was to play queen to g4. c5 check, and f3. c4 is a blunder, because now it allows me to play the mate, which I had calculated, queen to h4. Now, at this point, you might be wondering how she's 1800 and blundered that. We both had 1 minute on the clock, I'm pretty sure. Queen h4 is the best move. Don't worry about what the engine says about this being good. This is checkmate. Rook f to c8 was an accuracy, and for some reason I spent almost all of my time on this move calculating like a ghost of king to f7, which I'm sure has happened to everybody, and how I should go there, but it is just checkmate. And actually right here, when she stuck out her hand for a handshake, I was confused because I didn't realize it was checkmate, which is kind of embarrassing, but I got the job done. Alright, if you thought that last game wasn't chaotic enough, don't worry. This game is very chaotic, and oh look, I was right, I was 1300. Anyway, we get into a Dragon Sicilian, and of course, the one line of it that I did not study was the Yugoslav attack, which is the most dangerous. I don't know why I didn't study this line, even though it is this is the line in the Dragon that you have to know. This is why Grandmasters don't play it. As you can see, it's plus 0.6, which is not really good. And I forgot the move here, which was knight c6. I forgot that this was the square. Because right here, yeah, you're supposed to go there, and then that you're supposed to go there, which stops the bishop from coming here. which I don't remember, and instead play knight bd7. And throughout the game, I was wondering why my knight wasn't going as far as I was trying to. And when I reviewed this game with one of the coaches, he just kind of laughed because I'm already losing in this position because of the attack that white will get. So bishop c4 is a miss, and which is what you're really supposed to play when I do this. This is a miss because it allows me to play knight to e5 as if I had just played knight to c6. That doesn't happen though. a6. I'm just trying to prevent the square. Prevent any pieces from going to the squares. Yes, 3 of them right now. And now g4, which is a mistake because, once again, knight to e5. And this is a lot of pressure, especially onto these 2 pawns. Maybe I'll consider a sacrifice. I don't see it. I played b5, which is apparently the best move. Although the other engine, the more stronger engine, wanted knight to e5 a lot. And it still wants knight to e5 and now even knight to c5, which I did play. Attacking the bishop. And now h4. And this attack looked very menacing to me. And I'm pretty bad at defending because I like to attack myself. And I didn't see a way to attack him because he hadn't castled yet. So apparently the best move was just b4, attacking his knight. And when it moves, then I take the bishop. And his king is still kind of weak. But in here I used the chaos technique, where I was very chaotic and sacrificed the bishop to slow down his attack. My other plan of this was to cover this square and to attack this bishop, where there is no good square for it to go to other than to go back, which then it's not participating in the attack. And I thought, now my bishop will be opened up, the attack will be stronger now, and this will be very good. So he plays h5, which is the only move, and I take this bishop to get rid of his attacking potential, which obviously didn't work. Queen b6, trying to move my pieces towards the queen side to attack him. You may be starting to see a theme here. He plays knight to d5, attacking my queen. I move it back, and he attacks my queen again. Now, right here is a very interesting moment in the game. I am not winning. I thought that I was winning. I'm not really sure why I thought I was winning. I just thought I was. So in this position, I decided, for no particular reason, to sacrifice my queen. Now, interesting part about this move is that it's not even a bad move. If I would have tried to move the queen over here, it's actually mate after he takes this, and I move over, and I'm just getting absolutely destroyed on this file. So, anyway, yeah, I just play e6 here, attacking his knight, and I'm not really sure why. I just thought, oh, this will be a cool position to play, and let's just do it without thinking really at all, without even really calculating. I just got into the most chaotic position I could think of. So he takes, obviously, I take back, and knight to c3 just moves back. So b4 hits the knight, he moves back, and now rook c7 taking control of the file. We trade, and now I have these pawns. I don't know why this was highlighted before. I'm not really sure why it keeps doing that. So I'm looking at the position. I have some good control of this diagonal, and I have this cluster of pawns which can get ready to trap the bishop. So he takes my pawn. I take back, opening up the f file for my rook because I just sacrificed the queen for no reason. I have to make my pieces as active as possible. So he takes this pawn with check, and now king to h8. It was an inaccurate move because after rook takes h7, I'm actually getting mated because when he takes, now he can play king to e2, and he has all sorts of attacks there. He didn't find this move, luckily. He played long castles, finally. Now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can get some sort of attack. Now, I'm losing, but at this point, I really don't care. I play c4, which is a mistake. He can now checkmate me, and he completely misses it. Now, this is a really crazy moment in the game. And then I play bishop e5, just trying to get some space for my king, and then he blunders his queen. At this point, he face palms. I don't see the tactic for a while, and then I see it, And then I just start laughing because bishop f4, I win the queen. And then rook d8, he makes a mistake by trading rooks. Because now I take, and I have 2 pawns for a bishop, and this is hard to win. How did I get to this position? How did I get into this roughly equal endgame? Not really roughly equal, but in this difficult endgame. Well, it was because I made my opponent nervous by sacrificing my queen and playing like a complete bozo, which can be a really great strategy if your opponent is rated 300 points above you. So anyway, he attacks my rook. I move it out the way. He tries to bring his king to the center, and I start pushing my pawns and getting my king to the center. So rook to d1 and g5. These pawns are both passed, which is very, very important. And he allows me to push them forward with moves like g4, and now, right here, it's actually a draw. Now, I mess up the draw by playing a5. And this is just weird, because now I can play king to e3, and I thought this was completely fine for me, but it's not. I played rook to d6, which when I saw this move, I was thinking that now I actually have a lot of chances to win here, because I was pretty sure this is not where the rook was supposed to go after king g5. Now he has to spend another tempo to move his rook back to stop these pawns, because his king is cut off, so the only way he'll be able to get to these pawns is with the bishop and the rook. So now he makes a huge mistake after rook to d5. Now the move that Engine wants is this, because after he takes, let me just show you the line, after he takes, my king is getting in front with king g3, and this is a really, really hard position to defend. But I didn't see that, and I played a very human move, rook to f5, which just defends, and then he trades. And I thought this was winning for me. I thought this was bad for him to trade. Because after this, I get opposition, which is apparently not the best move. I'm still confused. This was a very confusing endgame. Now this Engine puts this as a mistake, but the eval bar right here says it's not losing by that much, as you can see. Oh, never mind. Yeah, it says it's losing by that much. The depth is only 17, though, and this position is very complicated. So the bishop d5 is the best move here, which he plays. And now the move that I play is c3, trying to get a complete shutdown on these squares. So if he takes, which he does take, I take. Now his pawns are isolated, and that's really good for me because both of my pawns are on dark squares. He cannot target them with this bishop, which means if I can get all of his pieces, these 2 pieces on that side, I can just eat these pawns and win the game, because both of the promotion squares, if you notice, are dark squares, which his bishop will be useless against. And then he blunders with a5, trying to blockade the pawn. He should have played bishop b7, just keeping the bishop on this diagonal. And now that allows me to play h4, because he cannot really stop me from pushing these pawns. After king to g2, king to e3 goes after the pawns when my pawns create a barrier that he cannot pass. Bishop e6, and now I get some really nasty tricks after king to d2. If he decides to accept the trade like this, this is winning. This is just completely winning, because if he tries to come after the pawn, he's losing because he cannot stop this pawn. If he tries to stop it, I'm just completely winning the bishop. He instead plays bishop f5, defending the pawn, which is a good move. And now I play g3, setting a trap, kind of. He doesn't fall for it yet. With bishop d3, I go back with king e3. He tries to get a repetition, and it was around this time that I offered him a draw, and he said no, which meant that he thought he was winning. And now I try to go after the pawn with king to c1. He cannot take this pawn because I will push and then promotion's unstoppable. So he plays bishop to e4 to blockade this pawn so that now he can take it. King to b2 here, trying to get close to this pawn, and he blunders with king takes h4. I want you to pause here and try to guess what the best move for black is, and there is only one, and it is g2, deflecting the bishop from this pawn. He has to take, and now I take this pawn. After bishop to e4, the king goes to b3, which is once again the only move, because I have to be able to take this pawn. So that's why king b3 is the only move here. King g3 gets ready to take, and king g3 tries to move the king closer, but now I just take this pawn. And after bishop c2, king to a3, these pawns are just way too strong. King f2, king b2, once again the only move. And there's a huge difference from before, because after he takes here, my king is not back here. I can take opposition and win the game. I just push the pawn. There's no way he can stop me. I promote, and he resigns right here. And this was an absolutely crazy win, which was only possible due to the chaos that I created by sacrificing my queen for no reason. I actually encourage you to try this, and in the rest of the tournament, in this tournament, the 2 games that I won, I sacrificed material for no reason. And the 2 games that I lost, I tried to actually win by playing solidly. So that was kind of interesting. If you ever play an opponent that is this much higher than you, you should really consider this strategy, as it's kind of broken. Make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you next time.